Hi everybody, Paul here. I got a special treat for you today. I've got an article here for you. Now this is from a little newspaper or like a little flyer here in Noda, and they're doing a 5-part series on Hatsumi Sensei in honor of this exhibition that's going on right now. That will be going on until the end of March, I believe. So every 2 weeks or so, every month or so, I guess it's probably every 2 weeks now, they're gonna put out one of these articles from Sensei. It's just small and sweet, and I thought I had some really interesting things in it, and I want to share that with you. But first, I want to say thank you so much for watching the channel. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for supporting the channel. Just, you keep us all inspired. You keep me active and wanting to make these videos for you more and more. So again, I appreciate all of your support. I appreciate all of you watching the channel. I appreciate all of you. So thanks a lot. And let's get into this article now. So let's get into it. I'm going to put the article here on screen, and you can, if you read Japanese, feel free to read that. I'm going to give you a rough translation on the fly right now. So the journalist asked Sensei, he says, a lot of foreigners come from around the world because they want to be taught by you. And he says, exactly what is it that you're teaching? Hatsumi Sensei says, the form of martial arts can be taught. The essence, that which has no form, is something which cannot be taught. And it doesn't matter how much that you train. Some people will never grasp it, and some people will. And I think Sensei is saying that not in a bad way. It's, sometimes I talk about the story of the seed, and I'll make a video on that on YouTube about that soon, but like a seed, and even Sensei talked about the seed before that, he's spreading these martial arts seeds around the world, every country, and some of these seeds will of course bloom and blossom into great trees, and some will never blossom at all. Some will die as seeds, because I think there's a certain conditions that are necessary for a seed to bloom, right? First, it has to land on fertile soil. It has to have water. It has to have nutrients, right? So if a seed were to fall into barren land, it's very difficult for that seed to bloom and blossom and grow into a tree, right? So he's spreading these seeds out, and some of these seeds will never, and it's not the fault of the seed sometimes. It's just that sometimes certain conditions are not conducive to letting a seed sprout and grow. And that's kind of sometimes the unfortunate part of life, but it's the part of life, right? And then some seeds, like Sensei said as well, will be eaten by the birds and never even have a chance. So it's interesting how Sensei wrote about the seeds before in a book. I can't remember what book it was in, but you can find it somewhere about some seeds blooming, some seeds getting eaten by the birds, and some seeds that will just never, because the conditions aren't right, bloom. So it's interesting in this article how he's kind of reaffirming that this thing that cannot be taught is sometimes not even related to the amount that you train. It's related to maybe the conditions and your ability to maybe unwind. I'll leave it at that. He says, it's very difficult to put this into words, but if I had to say something, I would say I teach this. I'm going to say it in Japanese first. Kodowaranai koto ni kodowaru koto desu. Kane? So I like how he put that desu kane at the end, because it's like maybe or perhaps, right? So it's not like he's saying it's this, right? He's saying it's possibly this. And what he says is kodowaranai koto ni kodowaru. That is such a funny way to put this. It means to be, let's see, firmly attached to or firmly decided on having things not decided, or firmly attached to the idea of not being attached. Or, kodowaru means to have some sort of set way of thinking, a certain way that you like to do things. So being firmly attached to not having set ways is kind of a funny way to express this, right? And I like at the end where he says desu kane, because it's sort of a very cute way of putting this too, right? He's not saying it's absolutely this, he's saying it's not this, he's just saying that perhaps, this idea of being firmly attached to not being attached is maybe what I teach. Because, in our art we have the expression banpen fuyo, no matter what happens in this constantly changing and fluctuating universe, that we have to go with it. So if you have these kind of ideas that you're attached to a certain way of doing things, or a certain attachment to even a form, then it can often lead to your downfall. This is not some sort of glorified or super important, teaching that you must get. He said, because, in the end, in any type of conflict, in any type of winning or losing or life and death situation, in the end, a lot of times that luck has a lot to do with it. Un has a lot to do with it. Un is, of course, luck in Japanese. Of course, it kind of has more connotations, but like this kind of idea of luck, has a lot to do with it. And, it's funny, especially now, Sensei in his older days, he keeps saying that, everyone is a star, right? And everyone are kind of born under a star. Like that old blues song, Born Under a Bad Star, right? If I didn't have bad luck, I'd have no luck at all, right? And it's not that you're trapped underneath that bad star either. I think, a lot of people will say that the training itself starts to bring luck into your life. So that's another aspect that you can think about. But he's saying here that, this teaching is not, the end all, the be all, because in the end, it takes a lot of luck. But for me, training has also been able way to kind of call that luck, to bring that luck into my life. Further, the thing I can say with conviction is ninjutsu is not a sport. Because if you lose one time, you're over. Everybody only has one life. And there are no rules in war. What's most important is in the end that you survive. Even if we have the Geneva treaties and the conventions, right? In wartime, anyone who's probably been through real brutal war will know that, oftentimes those treaties and rules are kind of swept under the rug, or they get overlooked, right? So the most important thing here is that you have one life and there's no rules. That's why, I don't like to compete in this art, because I think if you start to compete, you start to move away from that idea of a life and death situation. You start to be bound by rules, and you start to get your brain wrapped around that thing. I'm not saying you can't go out and compete and do these things. Of course I did when I was younger. I think it's great, and it certainly strengthens you. But for me, that's why, I quit, my other arts after I met Sensei, because, in some of my other videos I mentioned that probably that I did a lot of karate. I did a lot of these things, and I was very good at it. And I was always winning these tournaments, right? Because I was fast and sleek, and I could jump in and tag someone on the forehead and to get 1 point, I'd be like, yeah, you get 3 points, you win, right? But in the real world, man, someone gets one shot on you, one stab on you, and that's it. There's no you get 3 chances, right? You don't win at 3 points in a war. So this idea that there's no rules really spoke to me, because when I was doing other arts when I was younger, I remember thinking, I was really good getting all these trophies and tournaments, but I remember being in real life, walking in the streets, walking in dangerous situations, thinking, oh my God, I'm going to get my ass handed. If something goes down here, I'm going to get my ass handed to me, right? And my girlfriend like, oh, you're a karate guy, you're so strong, no problem, we're so safe here. And I'm like, if you only knew what was happening inside me right now, because I was not that confident at all that karate was the answer to my problems. But after I started the Bujinkan under Hatsumi Sensei, all those doubts disappeared, right? So, and I think it was because the mindset of Hatsumi is such that it's not a competition. I think this is very important to remember when we start training in the martial arts, especially in the Bujinkan type of training, that it's not a competition. And Sensei is saying this here, you have one life, right? So don't look at it as a competition. Don't look at it like fighting or anything like that, right? Further, Sensei says that, a lot of people that come to my dojo in their countries, they're often tasked, or they're in the position or roles of protecting important people and things. And of course, they're all, super trained and skillful people in the martial arts. He says, I think, what I teach in my dojo has been very effective and based on this kind of jisen, or true combat. And that's why people came to train with me, and kind of word of mouth spread, and people came to Noda to see me. Of course, I really have nothing to add there, because that's kind of how I found Sensei, through word of mouth. And books, thanks to, shout out to Stephen K. Hayes for writing those books and getting us involved. So a big appreciation out to you, Stephen. Thank you very much. So yeah, but we did get a lot of word of mouth, and we saw the taijutsu in action, and we thought, wow, I really want to meet Hatsumi Sensei. And that's why I came to Noda as well. At the end, Sensei says, and actually one of my students was assigned the responsibility of protecting Elton John, and was able to actually save Elton John in a very dangerous situation. And because of that, I got a personal thank you note from Elton John and a t-shirt with his signature on it. And Sensei's laughing as he says this. So that's all there is for this article. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll try to get each and every one of these articles out to you as soon as they come across my desk. Now, I do put my thoughts and opinions in there, but you can take those out as you see fit. And unfortunately, most of you will not be able to come and see this exhibition that's happening now. But the good news is I do have permission to make a video now, and I've just jumped through 1,000,000 hoops. You wouldn't even believe how many hoops I've had to jump through to make this video for you. And we're going to start filming this Wednesday. I'm going to try to get every soke to say a word about some of the weapons there, or about an episode with Hatsumi Sensei. And I'm not even going to put myself in this video, right? This is just for you guys to see the exhibition and get some messages, hopefully, from your favorite Dai Shihan or Soke. So let me know who you want to see, because and then I'll try to get after him big time. I mean, I've already got 3 or 4 lined up. So let me know who you want to see on this video. We're going to start videoing on this Wednesday. Get that video done hopefully next couple weeks, so that you can see the Tenjikai. I mean, you've probably already seen a few videos on the internet as well, but I want to make something special. We're going to get Hatsumi Sensei to start the introduction and maybe the outro as well. So that's really, really fortunate for us. Right now, because of the COVID situation, Sensei will not be able to leave his home for the next maybe week or so. But after that, we can get on this video and get it done. Another thing, before we leave here, I got a nice book across my desk here. You might want to check this out. This is a book written by my friend Rich Malouf, and it's on the Kukushinryu Sanshaku Bojutsu, or, you know, the Hambo, right? Kukushinryu. Now, you know, I've seen a lot of books out there on Bojutsu, right? And some of it you just have no idea what's happening, and some of it just looks kind of, you know, not so fun, not so interesting. But I have to say, this will make a great addition to any dojo because it's well thought out, it's easy to understand, the pictures are ordered well and very clearly taken. So yeah, I think this would be a great book for any dojo, for anybody to get and have in your dojo and to use as a reference for your training. Also, for those interested, we'll be doing a Zoom call this Thursday, and we're going to talk a little bit about this book here, which is actually this book here. The English version is this book here. I'm sorry, I made a mistake on my post here. I talked to some Japanese people. They said, hey, this is the only book that hasn't been translated yet. Of course, it had been. It's here. I have both of them. Anyways, we're going to be talking about those books because some of the quotes at the exhibition were taken from this book, and I think it's worthwhile to go back and look at those again. Now, to be honest, some of this stuff will again make its way to YouTube. So the Zoom call is a paid production. I think it's $15. So, you know, hey, if you're like, hey, I don't want to pay $15, you can wait. Maybe some of this will make its way to YouTube in the next year or so. But if you do want to join us, it's $15. Thanks a lot. You know, we got to pay for the software and things like that. So join us if you can. If you don't want to, just keep watching the channel. We appreciate you. So that's all I got for you today. I hope you liked it. We'll see you soon. Again, thank you for supporting the channel. I appreciate all your donations. I appreciate all your messages. I appreciate everything. Hope you all are well. Take care. We'll see you in the next one.